Good afternoon to one and all. Attend this webinar live, Facebook Live. So today I'm here to talk about one of the most important topic, which is the knee injuries in sports. So in any sports activities, the knee joint injuries are one of the very common, and it can happen to any sports players. So today we are going to discuss about what are the ligaments can get injured in the knee and how treatment possibilities are there for any knee injuries. So now I would like to take this opportunity and thank the Elevate Pain Management Clinic, the directors and entire team for giving me this opportunity. Myself, Dr. Karthik Anand, I'm a consultant orthopedic surgeon and arthroscopic sports specialist at Engine Healthcare, Chennai. So my training was into arthroscopy and sports medicine for the last 5 years, and I've been trained under the esteemed consultants. And my special interest is towards the sports rehab and sports injuries, and into complete ligament and regenerative medicine also. So first we'll start with the anatomy of the knee joint. So knee joint is a large complex hinge joint which has a femur, which is a thigh bone, tibia is the leg bone, and in between is the patella, which is the kneecap. So there is the two articulations in the knee joint. One is the tibiofemoral and another one is the patellofemoral articulation surface. So in general, for everyone, the knee range of movement is 0 to 135 degrees, which is a complete flexion. And there are ligaments inside the knee. There are two ligaments which are called as the extra-articular ligaments, which are outside the knee. So these are called as the LCL, which is a lateral collateral ligament, and the medial collateral ligament. And there are intra-articular ligaments. Intra-articular means with the ligaments which are present within the knee joint, inside the knee joint. So the ligaments which are within the knee joint are the ACL, which is the anterior cruciate ligament, which is in the anterior part of the knee. And posterior cruciate is the back part of the knee. And meniscus. Meniscus are the two C-shaped structures which acts like a shock absorber to the knee. And it is one of the most important structure in our knee. So in general, the common symptoms in the knee, in general, following any sports injuries or to any of the people, elderly people or anyone, the common symptoms would be pain, stiffness, swelling, giving way, locking episodes, and not able to squat or sit cross-legged, and any sounds in the knee. So first, pain. So the pain can be in the knee, there can be in 4 different areas, which is anterior. Anterior means it is in the front of the knee. So for anyone having pain in the anterior part, the few differential diagnoses can be due to patellar tendinitis, dislocations of the patella, fracture patellas, and any chondral injuries also. Pain in the posterior part of the knee, which is in the back of your knee. So that can be due to a PCL tear, which is a posterior cruciate ligament tear, any avulsion fractures, and a Baker's cyst. Pain on the inner part of the knee, which is a medial side. This can be due to an MCL tear, meniscal cyst, and a fractures of the femoral condyle bone. Lateral side pain is due to LCL tear, which I said is an extra-articular ligament, and a meniscal cyst and IT band friction syndrome. So the next common symptom is the swelling. So same way, the swelling also can be seen in the anterior and posterior, medial and lateral. So when any swelling is seen in the anterior part, it can be in 2 regions, suprapatellar region or a prepatellar region. So if a swelling is seen in the suprapatellar region, then it's maybe due to fractures, ligament injuries, and synovitis. And swelling in the prepatellar region, it's mainly due to a housemaid's knee, which is a prepatellar bursitis. This occurs mainly with the people who kneel down and do a lot of work. Posterior swelling is very common within the condition called Baker's cyst, and also in following a PCL ligament tear. So with the help of these symptoms, swelling, so when anyone says that I had a swelling which was rapid, which is following any injury, my swelling developed within 2 hours. So if anyone says that the swelling developed within 2 hours, then there is a few conditions which can cause immediate swelling, which are following an ACL tear, avulsion fractures, and a tibial plateau or patella fractures. So these are the conditions which can cause immediate swelling within 2 hours of the injury. So the swelling which occurs within after 1 day, from 24 to 36 hours, which can be due to a meniscal tears and any ligament sprains. So the next most common symptom following any injury within the meniscus is giving way. Giving way means, so like when you walk, there'll be a sudden movement of your knee, which you feel like your knee is buckling, and you may have a tendency to fall down. So this is one of the common symptoms which is seen in ligament injuries following a ACL, PCL, LCL, and MCL, which is the lateral collateral, which are the extra-articular ligaments. So any of the ligaments in the knee are torn, you can have this symptom called giving way. And it's not only because of the ligament tears, it can also occur due to a quadriceps weakness also. If your quadriceps muscles are entirely weak, and you can have this giving way symptom also. And in the other condition, which is following a bucket handle meniscal tear, which I'll be explaining in the later slides. So due to this bucket handle meniscal tear also, you can have the symptom called giving way, and any loose bodies also. The next symptom is the locking of the knee. Locking means when you bend your knee and extend, you may feel a sudden catch inside your knee. Following this catch, you won't be able to extend your knee completely. So this is called as a locking of the knee. So it is mainly due to a mechanical block. Mechanical block means when your knee flex and extends, something goes and interrupts the movement of the knee bending. So this can be due to a bucket handle meniscus, any loose bodies within the knee joint, and this condition will require early intervention, proper intervention with radiographic evaluation, and if required, surgery will be required. So sports injuries. So today's our talk on what are the sports injuries. So sports injuries are divided into contact sports and non-contact sports. So these are the sports which can be differentiated, whereas the injuries are high in contact sports. So a lot of knee injuries, knee dislocations, and to any other joints, the injuries is more in the contact sports. So this is a video where you can see as she lands, her knee buckles, and this is a classical part of which they can have a ACL and a meniscal tear. Here also you can see a right leg twist, and she gets. And very high impact injuries are seen in the football and rugby. So these players can have a very massive injuries, which is a knee dislocation, where 3 or 4 ligaments can be involved in the injuries. Even a small twist can give a meniscal tears also. So here you can see a right leg buckles, and she had a meniscal and with a ACL tear. So the first most common ligament in a knee which can get injured in any sport injuries is the ACL ligament, anterior cruciate ligament. So the ACL ligament is the key stabilizer of the knee joint. It prevents the knee from translating anteriorly, and it is a very static resistant to anterior translation and axial rotation. So this is a video which is arthroscopically viewed, where you can see the ACL ligament completely intact, which is extending from the tibia to the femur. So this is how an ACL ligament looks inside the arthroscopic view inside your knee joint. So the mechanism of injury, as I said, it's mainly seen in a lot of times with the contact injuries and non-contact injuries also. This is mainly due to a valgus stress with a twisting of your knee and with a hyperflexion associated. So following a injury in a sports, if you had an ACL tear, you'll hear a classical pop sound within your knee joint, and effusion will be fast, will occur within 2 hours of the injury. So examination. So how do you find out whether you have a ACL tear? Is by a good examination. And there's one test which is called as a Latchman test. So you flex the knee and give an anterior translation of your leg bone, and you can see that translation which is happening. In general, if you have an ACL intact, this translation won't be there. If your ACL is completely torn, there'll be a good amount of translation. So this, depending upon the translation, there are grades which is 1, 2, and 3. and A and B, which is divided as a soft endpoint and hard endpoint. So the other two tests are the anti-drawer test for the ACL. So you sit on the patient's foot and give a anterior translation. You can see the tibia moving forward. The next most test is the most sensitive, which is a pivot shift test. So in this test, if there is a glide, anterior glide of the tibia, which is a very classical for a ACL tear. So in MRI, you can see the first image is showing, which is the black one band is the ACL, which is a complete intact. The second image, you can see the ACL is completely ruptured between the femur and tibia. And in X-ray, mainly when you see a small chip fractures on the outer part of your knee, which is called as a Seagon's fracture, this is also a very classical indication for a complete ACL tear. So the management of an ACL can be conservative or surgery. So when do we go for a conservative treatment in ACL tear? When it's a partial tear and the patient or the player doesn't have any instability complaints or giving way symptoms. And with this, you give them a good rehab to a strengthening of quadriceps and hamstrings, and they can return to their sports training with a good agility and endurance program. Whereas in players with a complete ACL tear, which is a grade 3, these players may require a ACL reconstruction surgery by using the autografts or allografts. So this is a view of how ACL surgery is done. So the knee is hanged in the 90 degrees. The markings are done, and first the graft, the hamstrings graft, which is a semi-tendinous and graceless graft, is harvested. So this is the graft which has been taken, and then the graft is prepared. The muscle part which is there on the tendon is completely removed, and the ends of the graft is taken with the bites, high strength sutures, and then it is quadrupled. So this is a graft. Now this is a video of arthroscopic inside the knee joint. So here you can see the fibers which are the ACL tone, and then the tunnels are made, and then the ACL graft is into the tunnels which is between the femur and tibia. So this is a new ACL graft. So following ACL, you can see there the button. There is the femur part of the ACL graft is fixed through a button, and the tibia part is fixed with a screw. So screws can be with metal screws, or it is a bio screws. In this patient, we used a bio screw. So these screws are not seen in the X-ray, and they get resolved to the bone within 8 to 12 months of time. So the next ligament, which is the posterior cruciate ligament, this is in the back of your knee, and this is also one of the most important ligament which plays a role in the ligament stability, and it is the largest intra-articular ligament within our knee joint, and it resists the posterior translation. So the mechanism of injury for the PCL is with a direct impact
switch it on your laptop
with the knee in hyperflexion, which translates the tibia posteriorly and leads
to switch on the webinar, everyone, all of you.
So on examination, what are the tests? Two tests are there, which is the posterior sag test and the posterior drawer test. Here, you give a posterior translation. Once a posterior translation is given, you can see how the tibia moves backwards. So this is a classical sign for a PCL tear. So on MRI, you can see a thick black band, which is from the femur bone to the tibia bone. And this is a normal PCL. Whereas in the second image, you can see the PCL is completely disrupted. So the management in PCL is most of PCL injuries can be treated conservatively with a good posterior knee brace support for 8 weeks and then with a good.
I don't want you to watch it.
Whereas players with a high demand, who are into high demand athletes who want to get back into the field, and they may require a PCL reconstruction because they can't compromise their their sports play. So for them, for a good stability and a good strength of the knee, they will require arthroscopic PCL reconstruction surgeries, which can be done using the autografts, hamstrings or the peroneus grafts, and allografts also can be done. The next two ligaments, which are the lateral collateral ligament, which are on the outside of the knee. So this is the LCL, which is a thick, strong band on the lateral aspect, on the outer part of our knee, and it plays as a key stabilizer for the knee joint. So the role of this ligament is to prevent the excess varus stress and posterolateral rotation of the knee.
Just charge it off. You can mute it.
The mechanism of
Just
this
keep it
injury
off.
is direct trauma. When a direct force hits your inner part of your knee is when the LCL gets torn. So on examination, you can see how the lateral side, you can see the outer part, how it opens. So when you give a varus rest, this is a part where it opens.
Reduce volume.
So this is a
Why
grade
you
3
muted?
LCL tear. So this is a radiographic on image intensifier. You can see how much of opening is seen on the lateral side. So this is a grade 3 LCL tear. So in MRI, you can see on the lateral side. So this black thick band is the LCL. And whereas in the opposite next image, you can see there is a tear. The white arrows which is showing the LCL is torn completely. And there can be an avulsion fractures from the fibular head also. So any avulsion fractures to the fibular head, which is associated with an LCL tear, can be managed conservatively with a good, with a POP or a knee brace support for 4 to 6 weeks with a non-weight bear walking can heal this LCL tear of the fibular avulsions. Management, as I said, grade 1 and 2, and even sometimes 3 also can be treated conservatively with a good POP, knee brace, and non-weight bear walking for 4 to 6 weeks. Following that, you can start them with a strengthening. 99% people with a good conservative treatment will have a complete stability of the LCL repair and can get back into sports. So people with a chronic LCL tear, where the conservative has failed, then you go for a surgery, which is done by the techniques called Larsen technique. So the next ligament, which is the medial collateral ligament, which is on the inner side of the knee. So this is a thick band which is on the extends from the medial epicondyle, from the femur bone to the medial condyle of the tibia. So the main role of the MCL ligament is the valgus stability. It prevents your knee from buckling and from the rotation, which is acts as a static stabilizer. So MCL injuries are very common in the sport called skiing, ice hockeys, rugbies, and footballs. So this is mainly due to a direct impact, as I said, in the outer part of the knee. When you have an impact on the outer side of the knee, the inner part of the MCL gets torn. So examination, same way. Here you can see the medial side is opening. So when you give a valgus stress, you can see the medial part of the joint is opens. So this is a classical for MCL tear, which is a grade 3. So here also the grades are differentiated from 1, 2, and 3. So 1 means which is a partial tear. The fibers are stretched, but it's completely intact. 2 is partially intact fibers with hard endpoint. And grade 3 is a complete tear with a soft endpoint. In this video, what we saw is a complete tear. And this is an image intensifier where you can see the opening of the MCL. On a MRI, so this first image, which is showing with the white arrow, the black thick band is the MCL. It is a normal MRI of the MCL. Whereas in the second image with the white arrow, which is showing as a MCL, which is torn from the tibial end. So treatment, conservative treatment, same as an LCL. MCL also can be treated conservatively because it has a strong capsular support. So same way the treatment here is with a good immobilization with a POP or a knee brace, non-weight bear walking with the walker support for 4 to 6 weeks, and then start with the knee range of movements and good strengthening. Same here, when there is a chronic injury, sports players with non-healing of the MCL for more than 8 weeks or to 12 weeks, then you go ahead with a reconstructive surgery for the MCL, which is by a Laprad's technique. So following any ligament reconstructions. Let it be ACL, PCL, MCL, or LCL. Any of the ligaments in our knee, the main role is here is the good rehab. Because surgery from a surgeon side, the surgery what we do is only 30% of our work. The 70% of the work is from the patient or the player side, which is the good rehab. If you don't do a good rehab, you can't get into your pre-level injury, into your pre-level sports injury. So a good rehab is a must, which can extend up to 6 to 8 months of time, depending on person to person. And if you are a sports player, if you want to get into the field, then you should undergo with a agility and endurance program before you start playing your sport. So yeah, so the next ligament is the meniscus. So the meniscus is one of the most important ligament in the knee. There are two meniscus in our knee joint, which is the medial meniscus and the lateral meniscus. So in this video, you can see, so it is the two meniscus ligaments are present between the femur and tibia. So this is the medial meniscus and this is the lateral meniscus. So both are into C shape. So the shape of the medial meniscus, which is a semi-lunar in shape, whereas the lateral meniscus is more of a circular in shape. And the part of the meniscus which covers the tibial plateau is 50 to 54% in medial meniscus, whereas it's more in the lateral meniscus, which is extends up to 70%. And the medial meniscus is fixed, whereas the lateral meniscus is little mobile. That's why there's more ligament medial meniscal tears are more common than the lateral meniscus. And the architecture of the meniscus, the inner 2/3 radial fibers acts as a compressive, and the outer 1/3 circumferential fibers acts as a tensile load to take up the load activities. Functions of the meniscus are mainly it acts as a shock absorber, helps in proprioception of our knee joint stability, lubrication, and helps in aids in nutrition also. Blood supply is mainly of the medial, lateral, and inferior geniculate arteries. Symptoms. So symptoms following any meniscal, the main symptoms are the pain, swelling, locking of the knee, or you can have a buckling of the knee, and not able to fix the knee into a deflection. So there are many types of meniscal tears. So the classification which is placed here is the first type of tear is the radial tear, oblique tear, flap tears, longitudinal or vertical tears, and a bucket handle tears. And the grades of meniscus. The grades of meniscus is seen in the MRI. So the grades of meniscus are very important for you to take a call on whether you can treat the patient conservatively or by a surgery. So the grade 1 is grade 0 is a normal. Grade 1 is a small hypointensity change within the meniscus. Grade 2 is a small hypointensity which is extending up to the capsular region. And grade 3 is a separation of the articular surface of the meniscus. So grade 3 meniscal tears will require a arthroscopic surgery, whereas grade 1 and 2 you can treat it conservatively. So this animation of showing arthroscopic meniscectomy, where a portion of meniscus is torn and we meniscectomy, and this is a meniscal repair, how you do a meniscus repair. A small stitch is placed. This is a longitudinal tear. Using this device, and once you pull it, the meniscus gets closed. So this is a repair technique of the meniscus. So in one type of tear, which is a complex or horizontal cleavage tear, in this picture you can see the hypointensity change which is extending between the meniscus. So this is called as a horizontal cleavage tear. In this video you can see. So this is a complex tear. So the meniscal tear is flap with the complex. So the portion which is frayed, we punch it out. Once the punching is done, you use a shaver to completely trim the edges. Once you do the trimming, you can see the superior articular surface is neat and clean, and the inferior portion of the meniscus is also good. So now this is a horizontal cleavage tear. So you need to close the horizontal cleavage, which acts like a fish mouth, this thing. So it's always better to close these type of tears using a repair stitch. So 2 high strength sutures were used to repair this horizontal cleavage tear. So that's how the meniscus is being repaired. So next is the bucket handle tear. So the bucket handle tear is one of the most painful, and it gives a lot of symptoms with a bucket handle tear. So here the meniscus is torn and it's flipped into the knee joint. So that's why you will have a locking episode. So here the meniscus is repaired completely to the capsular junction, same way by using this device. And a few high strength sutures have been used. And this is how a complete bucket handle tear of the meniscus is completely repaired in a very stable way. So in MRI, the classical sign for a bucket handle tear is the double PCL sign. So as I told you, when you see a PCL, so this is a normal PCL, which you can see in an MRI. When you see one more like this, a small PCL, which is next to the PCL, which is called as a double PCL sign, this is a classical finding of a bucket handle tear of the meniscus. The next is the longitudinal or a radial tear. So here you can see a separation of the meniscus. And the last one is which is a ramp tear. So the ramp tears are the tears which are in the outermost, which is a separation between the menisco and the capsular junction. So these tears are easily missed in the MRIs also. And the classical symptom with this tear is the audible pop will be heard when you had an injury. And it's more commonly seen in the 4th and 5th decade of the life. So here you can see how we repair the ramp tear. So this is from the posterior part of the knee. And using this high strength sutures, the meniscus is repaired back to its capsule. So this is our complete repair of the ramp lesion, which is the meniscus and the capsule. So coming to a conclusion, the take-home points: knee injuries in sports are very common. So this can be prevented with good fitness. Proper fitness and rehab will help you in getting out of any sports injuries. And following any injury, ice therapy and a good compression bandage should be given immediately. Symptoms with the swelling and giving way symptoms can give you a problem. So always it's better to consult a doctor and get diagnosed with what is the problem in your knee. Meniscal tears. Meniscal tears gives you a classical pain and with a locking episodes. As I said, in a bucket handle tear, you have a locking episodes. So if you have this symptom of locking episodes, there can be only 2 reasons. One is because of the bucket handle tear, or it's because of any loose bodies within your knee joint. So if you have this symptom, get a consultation with a doctor and see what is the issue. Failure to treat a meniscal tear can appropriately will lead to an early osteoarthritis. So in a younger age, if you have a meniscal tear and you just leave it and don't get treated, this meniscal tear can lead to an osteoarthritis. So it's always better to get checked. If you have any pain in your knee, get yourself checked and get treated. So treatment of ligament injuries always depends upon the grade of ligament and with the patient's symptom. Thank you.